Well, welcome everyone. Chris Hagerstrom here with Jack Schrader and Associates, and welcome to this week's How to Grow Your Business webinar slash podcast that we've been doing over the past couple of weeks. We've touched on a lot of topics up until this point, including using digital tools, how do you do community marketing, various different aspects of really how to grow your business in the year 2026, being an independent insurance agent or agency. And very excited today for our presentation. I'm joined by our VP of Marketing and Strategy, Chris Orth, and then also our digital media marketing specialist, Lizzie Teletsky. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're going to get everybody up on camera here. Hopefully everyone can see us. Hope everyone's having a great day. Hi, everyone. Very excited for today's presentation. Social media has always been a hot topic in our business. I think one of the biggest conversations that I've had over the years is, what should I be on Facebook? What about Twitter or X or whatever it's called now? What should I be posting? How often should I be posting? What resources are available to you? And I think that's probably the biggest question on the attendees that are on our webinar here today. So I'm going to kick it off to you guys. What would you suggest an agent do just briefly when it comes to social media?
Man, that's a lot. Hey, afternoon, everyone here. I'm gonna let Lizzie talk a little bit about the specifics here because that's what Lizzie does kind of day in and day out for us, and she does a great job for us. I'm gonna just kind of lead it off a little bit with I've worked with agents for a while now on social media, and I think everything comes down into this business and really anything in business with time and efficiency and cost, right? And I think personally, in my opinion, the days of sending out a bunch of mailers and cost effectiveness have the effectiveness in that in general have gone down quite a bit, right? Social media has kind of proven that with data that's coming in and how you can see kind of in real time how effective what you're doing is and how many people you can outreach and the cost of that. I really feel like getting into that space is something that if I was starting an agency today, I would look at almost first, right? It's all about, in general, in any kind of business, it's about how do you reach out to your community, and it's just as our society has changed, that community has gone digital, right? And that's where people exist. So that's what I would start out by saying.
Yeah, social media is the fastest way to spread your message to the largest amount of people. So it's definitely a great place to start. Just the biggest thing with social media is just being consistent and authentic. So when you're posting on your business page, you want to be using your face, you want to be showing your photos of you, your personality, really showing who your clients are going to be working with and just being authentic and kind of putting yourself out there because that's what people want to they wanna work with you, um, they wanna know who they're working with. So when they see a face, that's gonna do a lot more than seeing just, like, some text on the screen or, a graphic.
Yeah, I think summing up that is be active, right? Just like anything, if you're out there and you're using, and we're going to talk about advertising specifically on here, but if you're advertising on Facebook and it's coming back to like a blank profile page, right? If someone's looking that up and there's really nothing on your business page there, it's really not going to anything. I don't know about all of you, but if I'm looking up a restaurant I want to eat at or someone's services that I want to use, like I'm looking at reviews, right? I'm looking to see like, what other people think of them, how active they are on the internet, things like that to make sure that they seem worthwhile to me. That's kind of how my buying process has changed. And I would say the same is in insurance, right? So being active is incredibly important. And obviously there's a lot of mediums out there, right? There's Facebook. Chris mentioned, X or Twitter or whatever we want to call that these days. There's YouTube, there's Instagram, right? And all those markets are going to have different audiences. So kind of knowing what that social media channel is and the best way to be effective on there is important too. Um, Maybe we should get into that a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of different platforms that are out there. So Lizzie, in your opinion, what are the must-haves that agents should look at when it comes to the different social media platforms that exist?
I would say the must-have is Facebook. That is gonna reach majority of the target audience you're trying to reach, whether it's your Medicare audience or you're even going into the under 65 market, they're all gonna be on Facebook. If you are looking to more specifically target under 65, you could move to Instagram. That would probably be the next largest, but I would say Facebook is non-negotiable.
Yeah, I mean, I think the age range, and this has changed a lot for Facebook, of people that are on that specific social media content is like, I think like 30 to 65 plus. Right. So if you're in the Medicare market, there's no better social media space there. So I'll ask you this, Lizzie, like, you want to be effective. Put yourself in your agent boots today, right? On Facebook, and you're starting out, like, what would you start with? What kind of content would you look to be creating?
If you are starting a brand new account, you definitely want to lay out who you are, who you serve, what you offer, your location, and obviously ways to contact you. If you're looking for your first couple of post ideas, you really want to be building credibility and kind of sharing who you are. So, how long you've been in insurance, how you got into insurance, a picture of you. And if you are just starting a brand new account, I would say a good cadence for posting is once a week. It's not overwhelming, but it's consistent enough where if somebody is coming across your page and they're going back to your business page, it's not blank. They have some things to look back on and realize like you are an active business, you're open, and you're listening.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's all really good. Some other things that I've seen agents do, just kind of in my experience. And I'm gonna share this, and hopefully they're not listening because they probably know it's coming from them. Uh, Going like live or doing a video like once a week or month, or some sort of cadence with a giveaway. Okay, so I've had a couple of agents do this, and what they would do is, like, at the end of the month, anyone who signed up for their Facebook page or followed them, or shared their Facebook page, right, got registered into a drawing. And then they would do a video giving away something at the end of the month. Maybe it's like a gift card for a local business or something like that. It's a good way to get people to join your Facebook page specifically. Some other things, just I've had agents do, just you can go right on Facebook and start a video right there, just like updates, being like, hey, this is what's going on this month. Maybe we're leading up to pre-AEP, like, hey, my appointments are booking up for AEP. If you're really interested in looking at your coverage, make sure you're reaching out to me to get something on the books, right? You can do a lot of stuff like that. And, Lizzie, you mentioned being like personal and specific to yourself. I think that's really important in a lot of things in marketing. Like, I could go out and talk about marketing that I'm James Bond, but obviously I'm not, right? So it's important to be yourself, right? Because that's who you are when you meet with your clients, and that's going to come through. Say, let's say Instagram. Okay, I want to get into the gram, all right, and I want to start doing stuff there. Like, what kind of stuff, what kind of content would you look to make on that side?
Instagram, you can share a lot of content kind of exactly the same as you're sharing on Facebook. Instagram is more photo heavy, so that would be a great place for those photos that you snap like behind the scenes in your workplace or your day, or if you're out at an event, you're at a farmer's market, you take a picture of your table, your booth. It's really photo forward. And then one thing to note on Instagram is that links and captions are not clickable. So you're going to want to have a link for how they can reach you or contact information in your bio on your profile.
Chris, we just had a really good, and I know we usually hold this to the end, but we had a really good comment in the
Mhm.
chat about Facebook ads getting rejected for marketing insurance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's Lizzie and I have dealt with this here just at JSA. So when it comes to doing advertisements for financial products on Facebook, so that's anything insurance related, anything credit related, literally anything that has to do with money, whether that be coverage or cash itself, that is considered a special category, special ad category. And in order to make the ads work, you have to agree, yes, this is a special ad category. If it gets rejected because it wasn't tagged, it's usually specifically because you didn't submit it as a special advertisement. So you can still post the content. It's not like Facebook or the overarching company Meta is saying you can't post those kind of things. You just have to identify up front that yes, this is considered a special advertisement, and then you can go ahead and put it out. The downside to that is it does limit your ability to target specific populations. So whereas you want to go in there, like specifically for our Medicare brokers that have been dealing with this, is they want to go in there and they want to, I want to target all of the people that are 65 years or older around Akron, Ohio. And I want it to run for, 10, 15 days. Some of that targeting does get limited. So you're not able to limit it specifically to age. You're not able to limit it specifically to like where you can pinpoint within a mile or 2 mile radius. It's going to be a much broader stroke. So while you're limited on your targeting for that, you can still get the message out there. And then Facebook actually does a really decent job of feeding you advertisements that follow along with your interests. People that have been going on there, maybe they've seen some podcasts or they've been looking at some videos or some pictures or things like that of insurance, especially as people approach Medicare age. Facebook is going to generally feed them content along those lines. It's not like, somebody who's 18 years old who's into like punk rock music and jam bands and things like that. It's not like they're going to be fed your Medicare advertisement. So Facebook will do a good job of cleaning it up on the back end. It's just initially as you're setting up those advertisements, it's pretty limited what you can do. So don't be discouraged if you get an advertisement rejected. You're not alone. We've been through it before. Just follow along with the process and you should be able to get going. And if there's any situation that you need assistance from us, go ahead and reach out to us and we can definitely help you out with those processes too.
I would add to that, um, just make if you get an ad rejected, make sure to look at it and make sure you're posting the ad from a educational perspective more than a sales perspective. Sometimes Facebook or Meta will tag certain words and will reject your ad based on certain words. So you can switch things out. Instead of saying like coverage or plans, you can switch it out for options, like come learn about your options rather than specifically referencing a plan or coverage. And they might push that ad through.
Yeah, that's really good advice. The other thing too, like just let's look at it from the other end. Like, what are some tips if we want to get out there and you don't want to get put into special ad category? Like, what would you say to do to kind of avoid that situation?
If you are marketing Medicare and financial services, I would say it's kind of unavoidable to be put in that category if they because they do have people reviewing every ad that goes out. I would say the biggest thing is just to make sure you're coming at it from an educational perspective rather than sales. And again, switching out, maybe the word options instead of plans.
Sure.
I don't necessarily think there's a way to avoid being put in that category if you are marketing Medicare.
Yeah, you just have to be like extremely generic, and then what you're
Yeah.
putting is going to be
Yeah.
confusing anyway, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
that's specific to the paid ads too. So like just in your normal content, like you could post if you're just going to make a post on Instagram or in a picture or something, or even on Facebook, or even a video on Facebook, you could post whatever you want to. It's just when you get to the process of actually paying for people to see your posts and actually enhance your reach, that's when you run into that special ad category. Feel free to post there. I've seen one of the things I've seen that some agents have been really successful with is we have our Medicare Scholar presentations which are 100% educational. And we have some agents who have taken those Medicare Scholar presentations and actually recorded themselves giving that presentation, and they're putting that on their social media accounts, or even creating a YouTube page and putting those things on there. So there's a lot of different things you could do from a content standpoint where you could really mix things up. Showing yourself, showing your face, and if you're nervous about that, record yourself a couple of times. Eventually, you'll get over it. But get yourself out there and then just kind of mix it up. You want to showcase your life as an agent. You want to really highlight success stories that you've dealt with personally. Whether it be actually recording a video or getting like a testimonial directly from one of your clients. Ask them, hey, this is really nice. I appreciate the compliment. Is it okay if I share that on my social media pages? And you'll be amazed at how many people are like, yeah, absolutely. I want more people to know about you. So there's a ton of different stuff that you can do. Ultimately, I think what we're trying to say before we dig into some more nitty gritty stuff is do something. Don't do nothing. That's a double negative. That's not the right way to say it, but don't do nothing. You want to be able to have a consistent schedule. Once a week is more than enough, especially for getting started and staying relevant with your consumers. But getting yourself out there and actually having a presence on social media is the equivalent in 2026. It's the equivalent to having a spot in the yellow pages back in the 90s. Like you have to be there. You have to be on social media. People have to be able to search for you. And I think the more that you get into it and the more you use it, the more fun you have with it too. And then your personality really starts to shine. And then you start attracting the kind of clients that you really want to work with.
and we may have a pretty wide sample of people that are on Facebook right now through their business, those who aren't. and it kind of all the way in between like high users and low utilizers and no users, right? So I would say this, if you have a Facebook personal profile now and you don't have a business profile, we are going to be sending out, we have this thing called a scribe where we can walk you through how to do something, and we'll show you how to take that personal account and create a business account from it. And that's really where you got to start. And when once you have that, you put your information on there for your business, and you can start creating posts. If you need information on like what you should be posting, we have, I think, 275 different examples right now on our pro shop of different social media ads. And I know we're going to be dropping some probably in the next few months. We have a kind of a plan to do a whole lot more there for social ads. So we got you covered on that. Um, Obviously agents just do like funny stuff too. Like I said, and Lizzie said, it goes back to activity on there, right? And now we're also talking about ads, which is, I think, is once you get an actual profile established and you're being active on, then you can look at ads. And we could talk a little bit more about that. But I did want to kind of back it up and be like, where do I start? If I'm not doing that, that's where I would start. One other thing I want to talk about before we get more into ads here. Every single community has these community connect pages. Okay. So where I live has one. I guarantee where you live has one. Get on that page. And sometimes you'll just have people asking questions like where do I go to see my insurance? And then you can respond. Right. And that's really the thing we haven't mentioned that's awesome about Facebook is you can connect with people right there. Right. If you send out a flyer and you need a response or you're waiting for someone else to do that action, you're always in this passive sort of thing. When you're on Facebook, someone responds to you, you can respond right to them, right? And you're having a conversation. They reached out to you first, so you don't need to worry as much about the scope stuff, right? You do when you have the meeting, but that's the other cool thing I think about social media.
Yeah, and with those community connect pages, it's important that your personal Facebook, you should be connected in there, but also as your page or your business page. When you get that set up, make sure your business page is a part of that. And the reason I bring that up is because I see it happen all the time in my community one, is where they'll tag a business in the comments like, hey, what's the best place to get your car detailed? And someone will take a business. If the business isn't part of that kind of group, then you can't just click on and go directly to their profile because it's grayed out. So make sure when you're getting involved in your local community and those different pages that you do it both personally as yourself, but then also as your business too. And it really goes a long way with stretching that out. We have a majority of the questions are about ads. So I think we could dig into ads a little bit more. So we'll send out a scribe to help you with the business page. But after you create that business page, that's when you can get into actually doing ads. And that's when you can really start kind of monetizing your Facebook page when it comes to getting the reach that you're looking for. When it comes to ads, and I'm going to pose this to both of you, Lizzie and Chris, what are some of the best practices when it comes to creating an advertisement that's going to get you noticed? And really, what are the metrics that agents should be looking for when they do run their ad campaigns?
Lizzie, you want to tackle that?
Sure. So to get an ad that's going to catch eyes, you want to use a graphic, which we have on ProShop Plus. And so you're definitely going to want to have an image. And then I would keep the text pretty concise, covering, what you're offering. Maybe you're hosting an event or you are, whatever you're advertising, you want to keep it concise and you want to have a link for them to click to follow through to a contact form or a website. So you want a graphic, you want concise text, and you want a call to action where they can click your ad.
And Facebook will actually give you the option when you're either doing a straight advertisement or a boost that you can do different like action buttons. Well, one of them could just be like a link to call. So if someone's on their mobile phone, you click in and you call your agency or your personal phone, wherever you have set up. Facebook will also let you integrate with their calendar system. So if let's say you wanted to be like, have something about someone mentioned in the chat turning 65 with a flyer, like, want to talk about your coverage options as you turn 65 in the next few months, click on this and book an appointment with me. Right. So there's a lot of different action things that you can put onto your ad that you're marketing out there as well. That's important to know. someone had mentioned like, where do I see the ads? So, and this is really, for those of you who don't know, Facebook makes money on advertising. If they didn't make money, they would have been broke a long time ago because they have all of our data, right? There's no getting around it. They know what you're interested in. They know who you hang out with. They know all your dirty secrets, right? Just because you're on it and using it all the time, which is creepy, but also effective from a business perspective because then you can use it to target people, right? So the ads that you see when you're scrolling through Facebook are basically been assigned to you from them, right? And some companies paying for that. So for instance, if I'm looking up and Googling drivers to improve my golf game, all of a sudden for the next week, I see ads for different drivers on there, right? And all those ads that you see are designed to catch your eye and hopefully have you click on that ad or click on a link, right? So if you want to reverse engineer that as an agent perspective and you want to get into advertising, you got to figure out who you want to get to, number one. And then you got to figure out like, what am I going to put out there that if they're scrolling by and they see this, it's going to connect with them. That is a problem I have. And this solves it, right? Because that's all marketing is at the end of the day, right? Solving problems from people. Sometimes they don't even know they have them. So that's what I would say about that.
Yep. There was a question in here about from Amy. She said, I had a Facebook business page, but I stopped using it because I was getting nasty comments. Amy, everyone that's on the call, let's face it, some people suck. There's nothing that we could do to combat the negative comments out there, but I wouldn't let that discourage you from using social media. There's going to be people out there that they're having a bad day. We have no idea what's going on in their life. They may lash out at you. You happen to be the low hanging fruit of their anger for that day. A lot of the times, a lot of those comments, especially if they're nonsense, you can actually on the page itself, you can go in there and you can hide specific comments. I wouldn't turn commenting off. I tend to not trust businesses that don't allow me to comment on things. So you want to keep comments on, but you will have to manage it. The nice thing is you can set up whether you're sitting at your desktop. So if you're using like Edge or Safari or Chrome, whatever browser, you can allow Facebook to send little notifications. So you'll see it there, but you can also set it up on your phone too. So on your app, you can have those notifications. So if someone comments, you could check it out real quick. And if it's just a bad comment that doesn't make sense, you have the ability to hide it. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is if you have a comment that maybe brings up a difficulty dealing with your business or whatever, is to show how you handle that in public. Because your ability to handle those negative comments out in the open and responding directly to individuals, maybe offering them solution, maybe offering them the ability to speak with you one-on-one specifically about that, that shows that you are willing to go over and above to help out regardless of the situation. And it really does add to your credibility. So don't shy away from using social media because of the nasty folks that are out there. Silence the people that need to be silenced, but take advantage of the opportunities to really shine and show what you could do for those clients.
They'll kill them with kindness thing. Yeah. Amy,
Absolutely.
if you get someone to figure out how to avoid negative people on social media or life in general, like please let us all know because I would love that information. So
Absolutely. Let me see here. We talked about platforms. We talked about ads. Let's talk about measurements. So that's one of the interesting things. When it comes to running an ad campaign, so you have your Facebook page set up, and we'll be sending you guys instructions on how to do so. You have your business page set up. You're starting to run an advertisements. There's a lot of different things that you can choose in that ad as far as what you want your outcome to be. So you could do things like maybe I just want awareness on my Facebook page. So you could do an awareness campaign, and the whole campaign is designed to get you likes on your page. You could do one specifically for call to action, so like a click through. So if you want them to, maybe you're hosting a Medicare 101 event coming up, and the whole goal is to get people to go to your registration page and register. You can make that the goal of the campaign itself. You could do reach simply as a campaign. So if you just want the most amount of people possible this year post, you can choose that. So when it comes to advertisements, you have to figure out what you're looking for. What is the ad supposed to do for my business? Am I getting notice? Am I getting people? Am I trying to fill up a seminar? Am I trying to get people to reach out to my phone number or maybe even message me directly through Facebook? So when you're running an ad, you have to do all the things Lizzie said. You have to have content, you have to have copy, and you have to have something for them to do, some action that you're looking to perform. But you need to make sure that you understand that goal before you launch that ad campaign. Because when you get into your ads, it's going to give you a ton of metrics and it could be really confusing. And you might look at a number and be like, wow, that's really good. But then you're thinking to yourself, well, I just spent $200 on this campaign. What did I get from it? So really understanding what you're doing with those ad campaigns, that's going to you're setting yourself up for success from the get-go because you're gonna know what you're looking for out of this campaign. And with Facebook, you could do A/B testing too. So if you have the same goal, you want more clicks on a registration page, you can run this one and this one side by side and let Facebook duke it out and figure out which one's working better. And then you could just stop the one that isn't working the best and use that primarily. So you could do a little bit of A/B testing. We are not the first agency to help our agents understand how to use social media. If you do some digging, there's a ton of great resources that are out there that you can go on YouTube and you can be like, how do I advertise on Facebook? There's going to be no less than a million videos to watch. What I'm going to recommend doing is if you are looking on Facebook and looking up some places like how to set up the ad account, how do I do this and stuff like that, look for something that was posted recently. And the reason I say that is because the algorithms that these social media companies use does change on a pretty consistent basis. So whereas some of the best practices for generating leads or like lead form fill outs back in February 2025 are going to be different than what are the best practices here today. So when you're doing that education process, you're learning for yourself, utilizing those public resources that are out there. Find something that's going to be that has a lot of likes, has been watched a ton of times, but is relevant. I would say within the past couple of months, you want to keep your content specific to.
Yeah. And, the other just general rule of thumb is when you're thinking about what to post is like, what would get me interested in it, right? Renee had a really good comment or question here, and it was kind of on, we want to engage our book of business with our socials, but we're having trouble getting them to follow us. Okay. There are either two things. You have to sort of give them a reward or a potential of a reward for following you. That's number one. Or you have to be putting something on there that makes it feel like they have to be doing that. Right. So one of those two things. I mentioned kind of doing a drawing. So if you kind of do like a drive to get people to follow you on your social medias, and you do like a monthly drawing. So any new subscribers get subscribed to that, and we'll post it on our page. So that's the only way you'll find out if you won. That'd be a good way of one way I'd start. The other thing is, the Medicare industry is changing so much every year, right? And we've gone over that ad nauseum, but be like, hey, like I'm going to start my own private Facebook group here. It's going to be specific to my people, but you have to follow me to do it. And I'm going to be posting updates so make sure that you're on there, right? That gives them a reason that they feel like they have to follow you. Okay. So just like anything, like people need an incentive to do anything, right? So what kind of incentive are you giving them to follow you? Information or something that they could be giving away for.
Yeah, definitely. And you could do probably one of the greatest achievements over the past couple of years is when you're doing mailers, instead of just putting like the handle of your Facebook pages and stuff on there, just put a QR code on there. Just have someone scan that QR code with their phone. It's an alarming number of seniors have smartphones these days, and it's continuously growing, but put a QR code that leads them directly to your page and leave a like. And like Chris said, throw something fun in there, like whoever likes my page, because you can see when somebody liked your page. Like whoever likes I'm going to do a monthly drawing of my new followers on my Facebook page. And then I'm going to give them something cool. So there's a lot of neat ways that you can go ahead and do that. If you send out email communication, so if you do like email newsletters and things like that, you can put those little icons in your emails. There's a lot of things you can do to get people to go directly to your page. Anytime you can avoid your clients having to type something in like facebook.com/ like ours is facebook.com/ JSA online. Like I would rather just send them a link that they can click on real easily. So if you're doing any kind of paper media, that QR code, like follow us on Facebook and just have that QR code there. It's going to do you wonders.
Martin asked, how do you create a QR code? And I'd love to answer this because I figured this out a few years ago and it's super easy, at least on a desktop or a Windows. If you go to any sort of page that you're on and you right click on it, that little box that comes up actually will have a link that says create QR code for this page. So if you go to your home screen for your Facebook page and do that, it will create you a QR code that you can then put on there. Also, we have a marketing team here at JSA. So if you need help with that sort of thing and using that on our Pro Shop materials, let us know. Ooh, we got another compliance question about, do the gifts have to be under $15? Well, it's not an inducement of Medicare sale, but what do you think, Chris? Yeah.
Yeah, as long as so the $15 rule is specific to inducing or is specific to generating business for Medicare purely. When it comes to like doing those giveaways with your own current clients or your current clients, you're not trying to get their business anymore. Even if they're prospective clients, the competition is to like the page. That has nothing to do with Medicare. It's not tied to anything Medicare related. So you're not limited to the 15. If you were doing a seminar and you were trying to get people to come to a seminar for Medicare, that's when that $15 would come into play. So just generating likes on your page, following you on social media, sky's the limit. Now, it all depends on how generous you are. So you
Yeah.
figure out how much you want to spend there.
I mean, I tell you what, I would do a lot of things right now for a gas card coupon, considering how expensive gas is getting, right? So even if you wanted to, like in Wisconsin, we have Quick Trips. I mean, that's people's gas and their groceries, I feel like a lot in this state. So you could do something simple like that, just give away a gift card. Brett had a really good comment. He said maybe consider introducing your social media presence to your client at enrollment and always introduce your social media via your many annual touch points. Yeah, great advice.
So I think we got time to do a couple questions here. One from Martin. What do you think of podcasts with market managers? We love podcasts. We consider this to be a podcast. We're recording one next week. We did one the following or the previous week. Podcasts are a great way to get yourself out there. That's when you're going to be loading things on specifically YouTube to get your name out there. And it really gives you an opportunity to be a thought leader in that market. We work with one of our agents from Florida. He does pretty much weekly, sometimes two a week. He's constantly releasing videos on YouTube talking about the Medicare market, plans, benefits, different little corners of the Medicare space that you want to look at. And his following has exploded. What I will tell you from a podcast standpoint is you have to do them on a pretty consistent basis. And at first, keep your expectations a little bit low. You may record a podcast, you put it on YouTube, you're like, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to have 1,000 people follow me by the end of the week. And your video might get 16 views in a month. So make sure you're putting the content out there and think of it as something that's going to live online forever. You know, when you're putting podcasts out there, doing interviews with the different folks that you work with, whether it be market managers, you can do it with physicians' offices, dentist offices, what have you. But go into it with the understanding that you want to keep it a very good interview format. You want to keep it as engaging as possible. You want to keep it as short as possible, believe it or not. You want to get to the information. You want to have a great conversation. You don't want it to be too long. But go into it with the thought process is this is going to be on YouTube forever. So it should help you now and it should help you in the future. And that'll help you kind of frame what you want to do from a podcasting.
Yeah. Then to the YouTube thing, I know we didn't really talk a whole lot on that, right? Like, I think something crazy like 80% of the US population watches videos on YouTube now. So that's a medium that I would probably, if it was me, lean to do like educational type videos if you really wanted to break into that. I don't know how many agents are really utilizing that space or doing that sort of thing. But if you're really good on video and you want to do videos and you're already doing that for other means of social media, I would consider leveraging YouTube as well.
Even if you aren't good at videos, make videos.
Yeah.
Eventually you get used to it. It's a muscle. I don't think we have any other questions? We are coming up on about 40 minutes here. I want to be respectful of your time. So once again, guys, we are going to send out a recording of this presentation. We're going to create that scribe to show you specifically how to create your Facebook business page. We may even throw a little tidbit about how to make a QR code since we have a lot of questions for that. I'm going to ask our guest today one final word of advice. If you were talking to an agent and you got to say one thing about social media marketing, what would you tell them? Lizzie, I'm going to pick on you first.
One thing that I would tell them about social media marketing is just to be yourself, and posting something is better than posting nothing. It does not have to be perfect. And just getting yourself out there and putting some type of content up is better than having nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Chris? What's your recommendation? Your one golden piece of advice for agents looking at social media?
Lizzie kind of stole mine and I knew she would, so that's fine. And that was going to be active, right? It's really very just important just to do the thing. And life gets hectic with appointments and the industry and everything else like that. So maybe my advice would be to block off a portion of time in your calendar every week and say, I'm going to work on this and I'm going to get it posted. Facebook also lets you schedule posts in advance. So do others. So if that time is a Sunday night and you just want to do that before your week starts and have it post on a Wednesday, great. But be active. Start utilizing it and be active. Those are the two things I really think are important.
Yep. And that goes along with my word of advice is don't be so hard on yourself. A lot of the time you could overthink your post to death. You'd be like, oh, why am I posting this? This is dumb. I don't want to do this. Or my hair, look at my hair. It wasn't in the right spot. Don't be so hard on yourself. Get the content out there and you'll be amazed at what it can do for you. Um, with a consistent schedule and just post it. I feel like we should have t-shirts on that say just post it. So we appreciate it. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We got some questions we weren't able to get to today, but we'll make sure to answer those in our follow-up email tomorrow. Keep a lookout for some additional training that we have regarding social media marketing, things like that. And I hope you do join us for next week's webinar on our How to Grow Your Business series. We're going to be looking at really diversifying your portfolio, diversifying your revenue. So when it comes to your mix of business, you got to look at everything as a pie chart. I have this many clients in this plan, this many clients in this plan. How do you diversify that to protect yourself from some of the crazy things that have been happening specifically in the Medicare space? So we got Jacob Swanson, our VP of sales for our Southern region, is going to be on there, and it's going to be a great conversation. And I hope you all get to join us. So thanks for spending some time with us. Thanks, Lizzie. Thanks, Chris, for joining us here today. And we look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care.
Thank you.